All right, this is a continuation, but this is more physical than anything. I mean, in the organic realm. So there's something called the STAR method. This is for people that are applying for employment or that want to add on to their interview skills. And sometimes we're asked some heavy questions on the spot that we like. Whenever you get into an interview, like there's some just heavy loaded questions or compound questions that are very important, you know. And in this workshop too, something interesting that I've never came across, something called a meal interview, which is like if you have the privilege of getting sat down and interviewed over a meal. They like to see if you're apparently. All right, so this is just apparently true. They want to see if you jump the gun and add salt and pepper to your food without testing it. So you're assuming something. So they're seeing if you assume. Also, how you treat the waiters. You know, common things like that. If you're already a polite and graceful soul. However, something that will help you answer some heavy loaded questions, and here are just some examples of those questions. Let me see here. Okay, so I know many of you have been asked this question right here, and I know I have, and I've stumbled on it. Can you tell me about a difficult work situation and how you overcame it? Another one, give an example of a goal you didn't meet and how you handled it. Another one, tell me about a time you needed to get information from someone who wasn't very responsive. What did you do? Right, so that's all right. Now, how you can answer these questions and just five-fold the whole thing. And all right, so it's called the STAR method. Like, it doesn't get more confirmational than that. The STAR method. S is for situation, T is for task, A is for action, and R is for result. The STAR method. So the S, situation. Think of a specific time or circumstance when you use this skill. Define the general content of that situation. T is for task. Name the key objective you were responsible for in that situation, or the challenges / obstacles you had to overcome. A is for action. Describe what you did to complete the assigned task and emphasize the skills and resources involved. R is for result. Summarize the outcome and how you specifically contributed. Describe the improvements and or benefits. So I used to be a security guard for this Section 8 apartment, and I had to respond to a fire alarm. And once I tracked the location that it was coming from, it turned out a tenant had set on fire a decoration on one of their neighbors' doors. And the actions I took was according to the emergency response binder that my employer had provided in the office. And the result was no one got hurt. I was able to evacuate everybody and have communication with the fire department and the police department and the building manager and my employer. So the situation, task, action, and result. So this is just so for each letter, just it's as simple as writing a sentence out. So the situation is you also want to add some spicy words in there, like by what I mean by spicy is by saying that you, like, for example, I successfully responded and handled a fire alarm that turned out to be an emergency incident. That's one sentence for the S, the situation. The task, I tracked his location and safely put out the fire and called the right rightful authorities according to procedures given to me by my employer. Now the A is the action. So this is where, like, if you get confused between task and action, pretty much it's like what is your job, right? For this is like, what is your job? And then action is like the steps it took to do that. So the steps that it took for me to safely put it out and call the rightful authorities is pretty much more in description of what you did. So for that it would be, I track, let me see. Okay. I safely evacuated the affected tenants while maintaining successful communication with the fire department and police department, building manager, and my employer. So yeah, that's pretty much just more in depth with T. And then the results was no one was harmed, and there was very little fire damage, and the affected section was evacuated until authorities deemed it safe. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty neat, because like I can relate to that question. Sometimes we just jump straight into an interview. So yeah, and then once you finish that interview, you want to follow up with an email. Another thing too is they'll ask you why do you want to work here, and most of the times, like I was honest in the workshop, I said, well, like when I was working at this grocery store, they asked me the same thing, and I was like, hey man, to be honest with you, man, I just need the money. But that doesn't sound very very attractive. It just sounds like it's whatever to you. So some things that you can say is, I researched the company's mission and it aligns with my beliefs, and something like that, you know. You also want to dress appropriately, and you want to actually dress one position higher than what you're actually, so almost like you're there to take their job. All right. And work on your resume if you haven't. Practice in front of a mirror for your confidence. Also, put on the outfits that you put on outfits the day or the week leading up to it, just so you kind of feel the energy and you're not last minute like for example, I've gone to interviews where I threw on some things last minute, but the pants were too tight, so I was walking like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. Let me see here. You also want to follow up the email. Let me see. Okay. I take some pictures of this, but I really don't know what I could, with it being like this, you know. But let me yeah, so you want to follow up email that same day. Just give it a few hours, just so they see that you're interested. And you also want to have all your credentials, license, and certificates on your resume. Letter of recommendations if you can. Letter of references. That means other people that can vouch for you. Okay, so now when you finish the interview, you want to have questions ready for the employer. That lets them know that, like, it ain't one-sided, you know. You're also a being, you know what I mean. That it also lets them know, like, that you are responsive, and that you know what I mean. And if you got some questions too, like there was one that the interviewing coach said, what was it? Oh, what is it that keeps you motivated and your daily from your daily what is it that keeps you motivated on a daily basis in your position and things like that? And yeah, you also want to maintain eye contact. You also want to make sure your body language is good. Let me see what else. Yeah, so some questions you can ask is what are some daily responsibilities that are not shown on the requirement on the job requirements? What programs are used on a weekly basis? That's software or whatever it may like entitled, whatever it might be that is for your specific field. What are some unexpected things that may occur in the work environment? And you also want to ask what are the next steps in the selection process? Some things you don't want to ask is what's the salary, when I can take time off. Can you tell me about the benefits? Do you offer any flex time options? How long would it take to get promoted? Okay, now though, for those that want what's it called, that want to figure out the like what's the most you can get paid is now check this question out. When they ask you how much you think you should get paid, they hit you with that one. You would say, I would want a salary that's consistent with current employees at the same level. What is your pay range for this position based on my skills and experience level? So like that's saying that after you disclose whatever you disclose and they saw your resume and so, now you're kind of gauging of what they think about you. Now you're gauging what you think they already putting a price tag on you, and you asking for a range. And if they gave you a range, you're obviously going to shoot for what's on the higher end of that range. So, and then to wrap up the interview, I'm gonna tell you what I said. I've enjoyed this time spent. Thank you for your time. I'm looking forward into integrating myself with this company. What they have said is what they've said is after learning more about this position and your company, I think I would be an asset and would welcome the opportunity to become a member of your team. So now that I've quoted some things out of here, I'm going to show you where I got it from. I'm sure you can find this on the web. So copyright whatever or whatever, Yeah. And yeah, another thing too is, man, I be getting hit all day with those negative thoughts, and I figured, you know what, if I might as well put those thoughts to use. Like, okay, it's like okay, there's wicked and evil in the world, there's negativity in the world. How can I use that? It's like saying, okay, there has to be a reason why it's in my head. Besides whoever might be sending it to me or whatever. It's almost like taking away the power from those sending it, and then utilizing it, transmuting it into power, into a new outlet for that energy to get tunneled into. And what I wrote to that is using a specific attack to realize a general problem. And this is leading to a community outreach to heavily affected communities. So it's like from a place of hate, and redirecting that energy into love to the community. So it's like stripping away that power and showing love instead. But yeah, it's fucking weird. Oh, excuse me. It's just annoying, honestly. Return to center intent, amplify, accelerated, while transmuting that energy into the highest frequency of the highest light for the collective. Hallelujah. I feel better every time I share that for some reason. And that's because it's stripping away the power from that. Yeah, so research the company that you're applying to, find out its mission statement, and visualize yourself. You know, have a higher standard of what you're applying to. My problem in the past was just being greedy. Well, greedy in the fact of like it didn't matter where I applied. That's like kind of taking away your faith in God. You know, because if God has something great for you in store, you're not just gonna apply to be whatever. You know, so give yourself some grace and give yourself that standard and have faith in God. In whatever position or field that you're in or trying to get into. And this is another one. I'll close out with this because I have multiple gaps in my resume, and sometimes life be lifing, right? But something if you can recall what was going on in that time period, generalize the time that was used in that gap, and just be brief about it. So you could say, if it was a personal injury, talk about how you picked yourself back up mentally and physically from so-and-so injury. And another thing too is you don't have to disclose everything. Don't feel pressured by employers to have to justify, you know. Life be life, and everybody knows that, and don't feel pressure. If you feeling pressure from the interviewers, then that ain't the spot for you. Okay, pick up on that too. If you're already feeling uncomfortable and it's not because of your nerves and it's because of the interview, you don't have to be there. That's just confirmation. So don't force it. And if you do get hired and you realize the environment is toxic, just get out of it. God has you covered. All right, that's just for you to learn that skill, or for you to practice on you executing yourself out of that environment. That sounds harsh. That's just you learning and practicing your skill to remove yourself from toxic and uncomfortable environments. So yeah, this whole thing started with the ability to troubleshoot. That's your ability to transmute, your ability to shift perspectives about something, or ability to change your mindset. So yeah, I hope you like that, and it goes both ways, organic and spiritual. Sending a lot of love, sending a lot of love and light and hope and peace to the collectives. Yeah, peace out.